Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're talking a little bit about going to sleep or not being able to sleep.
That's right. We are having some sleeping problems, and we're actually going to check out a couple of words related to this topic right now on Vocabulary Preview.
Vocabulary Preview.
Okay, so the first word is actually the technical word that describes being unable to sleep. It's called insomnia.
Right. So if you have insomnia, it means that you can't fall asleep. You can't sleep.
Okay, so this is a pretty serious condition. For example, if you have insomnia and you don't sleep for 3 or 4 nights, you're not going to do very well at work, right?
Right. Or if you're studying, you're tired at school, you can't concentrate. So it's a very big problem.
What's that other word, though? We have insomnia, but we also have another interesting disorder.
Right. If somebody is able to sleep but walks while they're sleeping, that person is called a sleepwalker.
That's right. And you don't actually just have to walk to be a sleepwalker.
Right.
You can do any number of strange things like basically acting like you're awake when you're not.
Exactly. So some people get up and walk, actually go outside. Some people get dressed. Some people even go downstairs and cook.
Yeah, that's right. And the worst is the people who eat because they gain weight and they don't know why.
Exactly. So sleepwalking is what you do. And if you do this, you're called a sleepwalker.
Okay, sleepwalk is the verb. Sleepwalker is the noun or the person.
All right, so we've taken a look at 2 words that we're going to find in our dialogue today. Why don't we go now and listen to the dialogue for the first time.
Alex, what's up with you? You look dreadful.
Hey, Jill. I don't know. I've been having trouble sleeping these past few weeks. I usually lie in bed for hours trying to get to sleep. I've tried stretching and different breathing techniques before going to bed. I've tried eating and not eating different foods. I've even tried counting sheep. And then, when I finally get to sleep, I have these really disturbing nightmares. So I usually wake up in a panic and more tired than before I went to sleep.
Wow. Maybe you should get that checked out. Maybe you're stressed?
Just take some sedatives. Works for me. Every so often, having some melatonin on hand helps me when I have trouble sleeping. It works on all kinds of sleeping disorders. It's the stuff pilots use to regulate their sleeping patterns.
I heard of that. But does that apply to Alex's situation?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds like he only has transient insomnia since it's a recent thing, so taking melatonin should do the trick.
But shouldn't he be looking into why it's been happening?
Well, aren't you the little psychologist? Our buddy's having trouble sleeping. It's easy and curable. It's not something freakish like if he was a sleepwalker.
Well, there's that too.
All right, we're back. So obviously this person not only has insomnia, but also has nightmares, sleepwalks, a mess.
That's right. And you can tell when someone hasn't been sleeping well. They have that look, like there's bags under their eyes, or they just look really tired. And so the friend here says, Alex, you look dreadful.
That's right, dreadful. So this is an adjective, and it's a way to describe someone that looks terrible. You look horrible. You look tired. You look sleepy.
That's right. So this is not a compliment. This is something that you say when you're worried about someone. So for example, if someone's really, really tired, you say, you look dreadful. Or if someone is wearing very dirty clothes, they don't look like they went home yesterday, you say, oh, what's wrong? You look dreadful.
Right. I think you can also use it to describe objects or maybe food, right? Mm-hmm. This lasagna is dreadful.
It means it's very bad. Right. And you don't want to say that to the person who cooked it, of course.
Exactly. All right. So the person, obviously, because is suffering from insomnia, looks dreadful. And he was explaining what he does to try to fall asleep. For example, counting sheep, stretching, and he also said that he tried different breathing techniques.
Okay, so basically a technique is an approach to something, a kind of method. Mm-hmm. But in this case, we're talking about breathing techniques. So for some people, one breathing technique is breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your mouth. like that. So that's one kind of technique.
So a technique, as you say, is a way of doing something.
Yes.
So breathing techniques are different ways of breathing. So maybe you will relax, or maybe you'll fall asleep, things like this.
Exactly. It's one of those things that you might learn about in a yoga class, for example. There's different breathing techniques.
Right, and you can combine techniques with other words as well, adding the ing. For example, you have walking techniques, maybe to put less stress on your knees, or running techniques, swimming techniques. I think there's a technique for almost everything.
Just about anything you can do, there's a technique for it, I
Right.
think.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and well, moving on, he was talking about his nightmares, and he described his nightmares as disturbing. He has disturbing nightmares.
Okay, well, I think this is an important word to cover here, Marco, because we've heard the verb to disturb before. Like, I'm sorry to disturb you. It means I'm sorry to bother you. But disturbing is an adjective. It describes something that makes me very uncomfortable, right?
Right.
So, for example, a lot of times in the news, we see very disturbing images, car accidents or fires or bombs. And what's disturbing is when you see human beings who have been hurt. So, images that make you really uncomfortable or sad, these are disturbing.
Exactly. So disturbing nightmares are nightmares that are not very pleasant. They make him scared maybe or uncomfortable.
Right. Like a dream, for example, where your parents die. It's pretty disturbing.
Exactly. All right. And well, one of his friends recommended, you know what? Stop with all of this. Just take some sedatives.
Okay, so sedatives are a kind of medicine that help a person relax or that help make a person tired.
Right. So I think it comes from the verb to sedate.
Yes.
And basically that is to calm down, to tranquilize.
That's right. So in this case, we're talking about a person, but you can also give an animal sedatives. For example, if you want to take your dog on an airplane, the dog needs to relax, you give it some sedatives.
Exactly. And I think when he mentioned a specific name of a sedative, it's melatonin.
That's right. So melatonin, melatonin, is a chemical that our bodies naturally produce that help calm us down. And so a lot of pharmaceutical companies or drug companies sell melatonin in a pill form. It's a chemical that helps you relax.
Exactly. So obviously if you take melatonin, you're going to feel sleepy or you're going to be very relaxed and you're going to fall asleep a lot easier.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully. That's right. So, and well, the whole thing that we've been talking about, insomnia, sleepwalking, these are called sleeping disorders.
Right, or you might also hear the term sleep disorders. They mean problems with sleeping. So people who either cannot fall asleep, or people who have bad dreams, or people who sleepwalk.
Exactly. So a disorder is something of an illness or a condition that is not normal. So for example, as you said, a sleeping disorder or a sleep disorder, it means that you're not able to sleep properly or normally.
But there are other kinds of disorders, right?
Right. I guess many people have heard of eating disorders.
Okay, so that's basically people who do not eat like everyone else.
Exactly. So that's what happens with a disorder. All right. So we've taken a look at a lot of vocab. Now it's time for us to take a look at Fluency Builder. But before that, why don't we listen to the dialogue again?
Alex, what's up with you? You look dreadful.
Hey, Jill. I don't know. I've been having trouble sleeping these past few weeks. I usually lie in bed for hours trying to get to sleep. I've tried stretching and different breathing techniques before going to bed. I've tried eating and not eating different foods. I've even tried counting sheep. And then, when I finally get to sleep, I have these really disturbing nightmares. So I usually wake up in a panic and more tired than before I went to sleep.
Wow. Maybe you should get that checked out. Maybe you're stressed?
Just take some sedatives. Works for me. Every so often, having some melatonin on hand helps me when I have trouble sleeping. It works on all kinds of sleeping disorders. It's the stuff pilots use to regulate their sleeping patterns.
I heard of that. But does that apply to Alex's situation?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds like he only has transient insomnia since it's a recent thing, so taking melatonin should do the trick.
But shouldn't he be looking into why it's been happening?
Well, aren't you the little psychologist? Our buddy's having trouble sleeping. It's easy and curable. It's not something freakish like if he was a sleepwalker.
Well, there's that too.
All right, we're back. So now we have 3 main phrases for Fluency Builder. Why don't we start with the first one?
Okay, so you heard in today's dialogue an interesting phrase. I don't know if it exists in other languages, but in English we say when you're trying to fall asleep, there's a good technique to help you do so. You count sheep.
Yeah, I think you see it in cartoons all the time. A person is sleeping, and over that cartoon's head is a little cloud, and you see sheep jumping over a fence, right?
So, yeah, basically there's a fence, and you say 1, 2,
Right.
3, and the process of counting helps relax a person.
And then you fall asleep.
Right.
So counting sheep, I guess you're not literally out in a field counting sheep. You're just imagining sheep in your head, and you're trying to fall asleep.
That's right, counting sheep.
All right. And, well, one of his friends recommended that maybe he should go to a doctor. And Jill said that by saying, maybe you should get that checked out.
Okay, so to get something checked out, to get it checked out, this means to have a professional give you a suggestion or to have a professional look at something.
Exactly. So maybe you should get examined. Maybe you should go to the doctor.
This isn't just about disorders, right? I mean, what if I have a sore tooth? I could say this.
Right. So if you have a toothache, I would recommend, maybe you should get that checked out by my dentist.
Right. Or maybe if you have a bad rash, you know, your skin is very red. I say, Marco, I think you should get that checked out by a doctor.
Exactly. So to get something checked, to get something examined by a doctor or a professional. All right. And the last phrase that we have for you.
So the last phrase we have today comes from a suggestion at the end. The friend suggests taking melatonin. And he says, listen, taking melatonin should do the trick.
Right. So if you end a phrase by saying that should do the trick, basically you're saying that should solve your problem. That should help you.
Exactly. So the trick, you don't have to think about what the trick is. It's just a way of saying it should fix your problem. So for example, when someone is fixing my car and they have one more thing to do and it's finished, he says, the car mechanic might say, that should do the trick.
Right.
That means problem solved.
Or maybe you want to hang a picture on your wall. So somebody puts a nail in the wall and that should do the trick, and maybe that'll hold up the painting.
Done.
Okay. So that's a way of saying that should solve the problem. This should be the solution. That should be all.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't we go back and listen to the dialogue one last time.
Alex, what's up with you? You look dreadful.
Hey, Jill. I don't know. I've been having trouble sleeping these past few weeks. I usually lie in bed for hours trying to get to sleep. I've tried stretching and different breathing techniques before going to bed. I've tried eating and not eating different foods. I've even tried counting sheep. And then, when I finally get to sleep, I have these really disturbing nightmares. So I usually wake up in a panic and more tired than before I went to sleep.
Wow. Maybe you should get that checked out. Maybe you're stressed?
Just take some sedatives. Works for me. Every so often, having some melatonin on hand helps me when I have trouble sleeping. It works on all kinds of sleeping disorders. It's the stuff pilots use to regulate their sleeping patterns.
I heard of that. But does that apply to Alex's situation?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds like he only has transient insomnia since it's a recent thing, so taking melatonin should do the trick.
But shouldn't he be looking into why it's been happening?
Well, aren't you the little psychologist? Our buddy's having trouble sleeping. It's easy and curable. It's not something freakish like if he was a sleepwalker.
Well, there's that, too.
All right, we're back. So talking about dreaming, nightmares, insomnia, all of this, what do you do if you can't fall asleep?
I don't really have this problem personally because
fall asleep anywhere.
I could fall asleep anywhere, anytime.
I've heard some people take like warm milk before going to sleep.
Yes, some people take milk. Although I also heard that dairy products before bedtime can make you have nightmares.
Oh, really?
If you eat cheese before bed.
I've heard that as well. I've heard that if you have seafood before bed, you'll have nightmares as well. But actually, have you ever had a dream when you are doing something and you wake up in the middle of that?
Yes.
I remember once I was dreaming, I was drinking a soda. And all of a sudden I woke up and I had my hand like in the air, like doing the action of me actually drinking the soda.
Actually, sometimes this happens to me when I'm falling asleep. I imagine I'm on a bike or something, and I start to feel myself moving my legs. And I wake up and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? So the brain is very strange, I think, especially in those times when you're kind of asleep and you're kind of awake.
Also, when you wake up suddenly, I don't know if other people have experienced this, but you feel like you're falling or something.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you just wake up like with a shake.
Yeah, your body moves. Yeah, it's really
very scary. Your heart starts to beat. I don't know why that happens, though.
It's unusual. Well, we're curious to know what your sleep habits are. Do you have a hard time sleeping, or are you like me? It's very easy for you to fall asleep. Let us know at our website, englishpod.com.
All right, we'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Hi, and welcome. Are you ready to listen to our story? Today, we begin a story that many people can relate to. It's about something so simple, yet so important: sleep. Or, more accurately, the lack of it. Our story is called Can't Sleep. It's about a young man named Adam who used to sleep like a baby, until one day, everything changed. Adam was a college student living in a small apartment near campus. Life was busy, but he managed things well. But then, for no reason at all, sleep became a struggle. The first night, he just lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Maybe I had too much coffee, he thought. But then it happened again, and again. Soon, Adam realized it wasn't just a bad night, it was becoming a pattern. He tried everything he could think of. First, he put away his phone and turned off all the lights. Then, he tried listening to calm music. Nothing worked. Hours would pass and he would still be awake. The nights felt endless and mornings became miserable. His energy was low and his focus at school disappeared. He began to feel like a ghost moving through the day. One night, as he lay in bed wide awake at 3 a.m., he whispered to himself, "Why can't I sleep?" That was the moment he decided to really face the problem. He started reading about insomnia. Yes, that's the word used when someone has serious trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. He learned that stress, caffeine, screen time, and even certain foods can affect sleep more than we think. To help himself, Adam made a plan. First, he would try breathing techniques, like slowly inhaling through his nose for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, and then exhaling through his mouth. He had heard this method helped calm the mind and body. He also started stretching lightly before bed, hoping to release the tension from his muscles. But the biggest change was this: Adam stopped fighting sleep. Instead of thinking, "I have to sleep now," he just let go. He accepted that sometimes, the harder you chase sleep, the more it runs away. This helped him feel less anxious, and believe it or not, that made a big difference. Adam kept his promise to himself. He was serious about fixing his sleep. Every night, he followed the same routine. He dimmed the lights 1 hour before bed, avoided caffeine after lunch, and did gentle stretches to calm his body. He even started reading a book instead of using his phone at night. Still, some nights were better than others. But slowly, something began to shift. One morning, Adam noticed something different. He wasn't tired. He had slept for 6 straight hours, which felt like a victory. Finally, he whispered with a small smile. But that night, the insomnia came back, just as strong. His mind started racing again, full of worries. Will I ever sleep normally again? Am I doing something wrong? These thoughts were loud, too loud to sleep. That's when Adam realized something important. It wasn't just his body that needed rest. His mind was exhausted too. He began to pay attention to his thoughts. Were they helpful? No. Most of them were filled with fear, doubt, and pressure. So he made another change. He began practicing mindfulness. Just a simple idea. Focus on the present moment without judgment. At bedtime, he sat quietly for 5 minutes. He closed his eyes, breathed deeply, and paid attention to his breath. When his mind wandered, he gently brought it back. It wasn't easy, but it helped. Mindfulness became his evening habit, like brushing his teeth. And that's not all. One day, while talking to his professor about missing class due to fatigue, she suggested something he hadn't considered: melatonin. It's a natural hormone that tells the body when it's time to sleep. Some people take it as a supplement to reset their sleeping patterns. Adam was curious, but he wanted to understand it better first. So he went online, read articles, and even watched educational videos about sleep cycles. He learned about REM sleep, deep sleep, and how the brain processes emotions at night. This knowledge gave him power. It made him feel in control again. Instead of being a victim of insomnia, he was now a student of it. Sleep wasn't just about closing your eyes. It was about creating the right environment in your room and in your mind. But Adam's journey was far from over, because just when he thought he had things figured out, something completely unexpected happened. It was a quiet night. The city outside Adam's window was calm, and his room was peaceful. After reading for a bit, he turned off the light and lay down. His body felt relaxed, his breath was steady, and his mind wasn't racing. He smiled, thinking, "This might be the night I finally sleep all the way through." And he did. At least, that's what he thought. The next morning, he woke up feeling strangely tired, even though he had gone to bed early. His blankets were on the floor, his door was slightly open, and his phone, which he always left on the desk, was now on his bed. Confused, he brushed it off. "Maybe I moved in my sleep," he said aloud. But deep down, he felt something wasn't right. Later that day, his roommate, Eric, said something that shocked him. "Hey man, you were walking around last night. You went into the kitchen and just stood there. I thought you were getting water, but you didn't say a word. You just turned around and went back to your room." Adam's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" Eric laughed a little. "Yeah, it was kind of creepy, honestly. You looked totally awake but didn't say anything. I thought you were just tired." Adam felt a chill. Could it be? Was he sleepwalking? That night, instead of trying to fall asleep, Adam went down another rabbit hole, this time researching sleepwalking. He learned that it's a real condition called somnambulism. People who sleepwalk often don't remember it. They might walk, talk, even eat, without being aware. It usually happens during deep sleep, especially when the brain is stuck between sleep and wakefulness. He read about people who cooked meals in their sleep, or even walked outside without knowing. The stories were shocking. Sleepwalking wasn't just strange, it could be dangerous. Adam realized something important. Sleep problems aren't always just about stress or bad habits. Sometimes, they come from deeper issues, like how the brain works during rest. And he knew he had to take it seriously. So, he started tracking his sleep with a notebook. Every morning, he wrote down what he remembered, what time he went to bed, how he felt when he woke up, and if anything unusual happened during the night. He also told Eric to let him know if he ever walked around again. This part of his journey wasn't just about fixing insomnia anymore. It was about understanding how complex sleep really is. And Adam was ready to keep learning, because he believed that knowledge could change everything. Adam's sleep journal quickly became one of the most valuable tools in his life. Each morning, he wrote in it like it was a personal letter to his future self. He recorded everything: how long it took him to fall asleep, how many times he woke up, and whether he felt rested or exhausted. He even noted what he ate and how much screen time he had before bed. Patterns began to appear. He noticed, for example, that on days when he had heavy, greasy food for dinner, his sleep was lighter and more disturbed. On the other hand, when he ate something lighter, like soup or grilled vegetables, he fell asleep more easily. He also realized that too much social media at night made his brain feel noisy, even if he felt tired physically. These small observations helped him feel more in control. But the sleepwalking still bothered him. One night, he left his closet wide open. Another night, his pillow was on the floor. Eric saw him once standing by the window, completely silent. Adam had no memory of any of it. He started feeling anxious about going to sleep, afraid of what he might do. That's when Adam decided to visit a sleep specialist. The doctor listened carefully as Adam described everything: his trouble sleeping, the nightmares, the walking, the things he had tried. The doctor nodded and explained gently that Adam might be experiencing transient insomnia, short-term sleep trouble caused by stress, lifestyle changes, or even emotional overload. And the sleepwalking? It might be connected to irregular sleep cycles or hidden anxiety. The doctor gave Adam a few tips that he hadn't tried before. One was to create a bedtime ritual. Not just a routine, but a ritual, something that tells the brain it's time to rest. For Adam, this became a short list of calming activities: turning off all devices 30 minutes before bed, writing a gratitude note in his journal, and listening to soft instrumental music. Another tip was to keep the room cool and dark. The body sleeps better when the temperature is slightly lower. He also learned about something called white noise, a steady background sound, like rain or a fan, that helps block out sudden noises and keeps the brain from waking up too easily. Adam tried everything the doctor suggested. He wasn't expecting instant magic, but he noticed that his attitude changed. Instead of fearing sleep, he began preparing for it like it was an important meeting, with care, attention, and respect. He still had some difficult nights, but now, those nights didn't feel like failures. They were simply part of the journey. And with each small success, his confidence grew. Because sometimes healing doesn't come all at once. It comes in whispers, in little changes, in learning how to listen to your body, your mind, and the silence of night. Adam was beginning to understand something powerful. Sleep is not a switch, it's a rhythm, like music. And when your rhythm is off, no amount of effort can force it back. You have to feel your way into balance, one step at a time. One evening, after a long day of studying, Adam sat by his window watching the street lights flicker on. He felt calm, not fully rested yet, but no longer desperate. As part of his new ritual, he sipped a cup of warm chamomile tea, wrote a short gratitude list in his notebook, and dimmed the lights. That night, something strange happened again. But this time, it wasn't sleepwalking. It was a dream. A very vivid dream. He was walking through a peaceful forest, with leaves crunching under his feet and moonlight shining through the trees. In the dream, he wasn't scared. He felt light, like his body was floating. And when he woke up, he felt more rested than he had in weeks. This was new. Before, his dreams were full of anxiety, running, falling, forgetting things. But this one, it gave him peace. He wondered, can dreams be a sign that things are improving? He began researching again, this time about dreams and their connection to emotional health. He discovered that dreams often reflect what's happening deep inside our minds. If we are stressed, we dream of chaos. But when we start to heal, our dreams soften too. Dreams, he learned, are not random. They are messages. From that day forward, Adam added a new section to his journal, Dream Notes. He wrote down everything he remembered from his dreams, even if it was just a color, a feeling, or a single word. This helped him see patterns, not only in sleep, but in his emotions. At the same time, his English professor gave a talk in class about habits and productivity. One phrase stayed in Adam's mind: you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That hit home. His goal was to sleep better, but without healthy systems, he would always struggle. So Adam built better systems. He stopped scheduling late-night study sessions. He replaced heavy dinners with lighter meals. He gave himself permission to rest. No guilt, no pressure, just rest. And here's something else. He started helping others. He noticed that one of his classmates, Mina, looked tired and distracted every morning. One day after class, he gently asked, "Rough night?" She nodded. "I haven't slept well in weeks." That moment opened a door. Adam shared his own story, his battles with insomnia, the journal, the rituals, even the sleepwalking. Mina was surprised. "I thought I was the only one," she said. They agreed to check in with each other weekly, just to see how they were doing. It wasn't just about sleep anymore. It was about support. Healing becomes easier when you're not alone. And so, as Adam continued his journey, he discovered a truth he hadn't expected. Sometimes, helping someone else sleep better can help you sleep better too. Days turned into weeks, and Adam's new lifestyle began to shape a different version of himself, calmer, clearer, and more aware. He didn't just focus on sleeping better anymore. He focused on living better. And surprisingly, that made a huge difference. His room became a peaceful space, no more clutter, no harsh lights, and definitely no distractions before bed. He placed a small plant near his window, started using calming scents like lavender, and made sure his sheets were clean and soft. He had learned something simple but powerful. Your environment affects your mind, and your mind affects your sleep. One evening, after a long walk, Adam sat down to reflect. He realized that sleep was not just about what happened at night. It was about how you spent your day. Were you tense, rushing, overthinking? All of those things traveled with you into the night. So he started slowing down during the day. He took breaks between tasks. He practiced deep breathing during stressful moments. He learned to pause instead of pushing through everything. One technique he especially liked was cold box breathing. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4 again. It was simple, but it worked like magic during tense moments. And then something unexpected happened. Mina, his classmate, messaged him one night. "I tried your breathing tip," she wrote. "It actually helped. First good sleep in a while. Thank you." Adam smiled. That message meant more to him than any grade or award. He had struggled, yes, but now his struggle was helping someone else. He was beginning to see that sleep problems were more common than people admitted. Everyone just pretended to be fine. But underneath, many were tired, anxious, and stuck. The next day, Adam had an idea. What if he created something small but helpful for others? Not a big project, just a simple guide. He opened his laptop and typed the title, 10 Simple Ways to Sleep Better, a Student's Guide. He wrote from the heart. Each tip was based on something that had helped him. He included his sleep journal format, the breathing techniques, and advice on managing screen time. He wrote about melatonin, dream tracking, and the power of evening rituals. The language was simple and friendly, perfect for people like him, students, beginners, or anyone who felt lost in the middle of the night. When it was done, he shared it with Mina. She shared it with others. And soon, Adam began getting messages from classmates he barely knew. "Thanks for the tips. I finally slept through the night. This is so helpful." For the first time in months, Adam felt proud, not just because he was sleeping better, but because he had turned his pain into purpose. And as he looked back, he realized something. Sleep isn't a problem to be fixed. It's a relationship to be respected. And when you listen, truly listen, to your body, your breath, your needs, sleep listens back. The guide Adam created slowly spread beyond his class. Friends shared it with other students, and even a few professors mentioned it during lectures. Practical, honest, simple, one teacher said during a wellness seminar. Adam was surprised, even a little shy. But deep inside, he felt something powerful, useful. They shared their worst nightmares and their funniest sleepwalking stories. It wasn't just about sleeping anymore. It was about slowing down, creating space for quiet. In a world that never stops, Adam was learning the strength of stillness and teaching others to do the same. And as the group meetings became a regular part of his week, he realized something else. Healing doesn't always happen alone. Sometimes it happens in community, in circles of quiet voices, deep breaths, and shared stories. Because when people gather with honesty and kindness, even the most restless hearts can begin to rest. Adam's life had changed in ways he never expected. What started as a personal struggle, something he was once ashamed to talk about, had become the foundation for something beautiful. His sleep and study group was growing steadily, and the small library room they used was now often filled with quiet conversations, laughter, and warm connections. Each week, Adam introduced a new theme. One week, it was letting go of perfection. Another week, creating calm in a noisy world. He realized that poor sleep often had deeper causes: emotional pressure, comparison, fear of failure. It wasn't just about getting rest. It was about learning how to feel safe again, both mentally and physically. One session stood out more than any other. A girl named Layla, who had always sat quietly in the back, raised her hand. Her voice was soft, but her words were clear. I used to think I was lazy. I couldn't wake up on time, couldn't concentrate in class, always tired. But after coming here, I realized I wasn't lazy. I was exhausted. The room went silent, and then several people nodded, deeply moved. Adam responded gently, "You don't need to earn rest. Rest is not a reward. It's a basic need, like food, like water." That moment stayed with everyone. It broke something open. In that silence, healing began. Outside the group, Adam kept up his healthy habits. He stuck to his bedtime ritual. He wrote in his journal. And most importantly, he protected his peace. That meant saying no to things that drained him, even if they seemed important. He no longer forced himself to stay up late just to finish one more thing. He understood now that productivity without rest leads to burnout, not success. He also stopped comparing himself to others. Before, he used to feel bad when he saw classmates posting perfect study schedules or celebrating achievements online while he was just trying to sleep through the night. But now, he reminded himself, everyone is facing something. We just don't always see it. Sleep had taught him more than any textbook ever could. It had taught him about balance, about listening to his body, about being kind to himself. He even began to see sleep as a kind of friendship with himself. And perhaps the most powerful lesson of all, the way we sleep reflects the way we live. When we rush, we don't rest. When we fear, we fight our own mind. But when we trust, breathe, and slow down, peace finds its way in. Adam wasn't fully cured. There were still nights when his mind wandered. But now, he didn't panic. He simply returned to his breath, to his rituals, to the knowledge that rest is a journey, not a destination. And with every breath, every journal entry, and every shared story, he was learning that real strength comes not from forcing things, but from learning to let go. It was a quiet Sunday evening when Adam walked into the library alone. The group wasn't meeting that day, but he wanted a moment in the space that had become so special. He sat at their usual table, opened his journal, and looked through the pages, months of reflections, sleep logs, dreams, and moments of growth. He smiled, not because he had reached some perfect state of life, but because he understood now that progress isn't loud. It's the small, invisible changes. Choosing to breathe instead of panic, to rest instead of push, to listen instead of judge.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Fall asleep. Go to sleep. A drug that calms or relaxes someone. Sedative. A dream that caused horror. Nightmare. The regular time of sleeping. Sleeping pattern. Accomplish the desired task. Do the trick. People who have a medical disorder of the sleep. Sleeping disorder. Fall asleep. Get to sleep.
Let's try that faster.
A dream that caused horror. Nightmare. Fall asleep. Go to sleep. A drug that calms or relaxes someone. Sedative. The regular time of sleeping. Sleeping pattern. People who have a medical disorder of the sleep. Sleeping disorder. Accomplish the desired task. Do the trick. Fall asleep. Get to sleep.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Get to sleep. Sometimes I need to put on some music in order to get to sleep. Get to sleep. I got to sleep really late last night because I couldn't stop worrying about my presentation today. Get to sleep. I couldn't get to sleep until after midnight. Nightmare. I've had the same nightmare night after night for the past month. Nightmare. I woke up from my nightmare just before I found out what was behind the door. Nightmare. I never have dreams, but every so often I get nightmares. Sedative. They gave me a sedative before I went into surgery. Sedative. I often use a mild sedative in order to calm myself down when I get anxious. Sedative. I've heard that some people put sedatives in other people's drinks at bars in order to rob them. Sleeping pattern. My sleeping patterns have been all over the place recently. Sleeping pattern. I have a consistent sleeping pattern and I intend to stick to it. Sleeping pattern. I managed to regulate my sleeping pattern, so now I can't even sleep in if I wanted to. Do the trick. If you start getting tired while studying, drinking some coffee should do the trick. Do the trick. Just add some more salt to the soup and that should do the trick. Do the trick. If you turn up the volume of the microphone a bit, it should do the trick.